channel. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Now we do have some big breaking news, and that's the announcement of Kevin De Bruyne in regards to his future at Manchester City. Yes, the Belgian international has finally formally announced that he will be leaving the Citizens at the end of this season. That's the 2024-2025 season. Pretty much what we had expected for those of you that did watch our episode on the 8 first team players that we do think that will leave Manchester City at the end of the season. And Kevin De Bruyne was one of those names that we did mention in that video. So, sorry guys. Yes, and Kevin De Bruyne was one of the names that we did mention in that video, and he has come out to formally announce that he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Now, of course, I wouldn't say it's a big blow to Man City. It's been pretty much expected as he's grown older, he suffered more injuries, he's missed longer spells during course of campaigns, but that won't take away his legendary status in the English football. I think he will go down as one of the best attacking midfielders the Premier League has ever seen, because as he bows out after 10 years at the club, because he did join them in 2015, coming from VfB Wolfsburg. Now, having joined them at that time, ever since then, he's positioned himself as one of the greatest players the Premier League has ever seen. During that spell, of course, he's I think on 4 different seasons, he's been the best assister in the Premier League. That's on 4 different occasions. He is second best in Premier League assist rankings after Ryan Giggs. Only Ryan Giggs is the only player that has managed more assists across the Premier League, and that was a total of 162. And then Kevin De Bruyne with 118 so far at this stage of the season. And then in third place, of course, is former Arsenal midfielder and Chelsea midfielder, that was Cesc Fabregas, who managed a combined total of 111 assists. And then followed by former Manchester United, forward in Wayne Rooney, who managed 103 assists. Then followed by Frank Lampard, who managed 102 assists. So Kevin De Bruyne bows out at Manchester City as one of the best players they've had in the last 1 decade. He's on 2 different occasions. He was voted a best Premier League player of the year. On 2 occasions, he was voted a PFA Players Player of the Year. That was 2020 and 2021. So clearly, tells you how much he's been held in high regard. That's how much he's been really respected. When you look at his numbers, in terms of goals scored for Man City, in terms of overall assists, he's won a combined total of 18 trophies during that spell at the club. But he has now announced that he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. And in his message to Manchester City fans, here is what he had to say. Dear Manchester, that's how the letter reads. Dear Manchester, seeing this, you probably realize where this is heading. So I'll get straight to it and let you all know that this will be my final months at Manchester City as a Manchester City player. Nothing about this is easy, right? But as football players, we all know this day eventually comes. That day is here, and you deserve to hear it from me first. Football led me to all of you and to this city, chasing my dream, not knowing this period would change my life. This city, this club, these people gave me everything. I have no choice but to give everything back. And guess what? We won everything. Yes, he's right to say that. They've won everything. The Premier last 10 years. So he adds that whether we like it or not, it's time to say goodbye. Suri, Rome, Mason, Michelle, and I are beyond grateful for what this place has meant to our family. There he's mentioning his family, that's the wife and children, and quite very incredibly. So he says this place meant so much to our family. Manchester will forever be on our kids' passports and more importantly, in each of our hearts. This will always be our home. We cannot thank the City club staff, teammates, friends, and family enough for this 10-year ride. Every story comes to an end, but this has definitely been the best chapter. Let's enjoy these last moments together. Much love, KDB 17. KDB standing for Kevin De Bruyne. So, guys, I like this man. Thank you, Alicia, for tuning to the broadcast. The Daily Diary, thank you for the broadcast. Yes, we are discussing the departure of Kevin De Bruyne, who has come out to announce that he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. Like we had previously discussed on the same channel, we did mention 8 first-team players that will be leaving Man City at the end of the season, and Kevin De Bruyne was on that list, among others like Ilkay Gundogan, players like Kyle Walker, players like Jack Grealish, players like John Stones, players like Gerson Morales, players like Mateo Kovacic were all discussed in that episode as players that could potentially leave the club at the end of the at the end of the season. And Kevin De Bruyne has formally announced that his departure from Manchester City will come when the season matures. So, like I said, he's been one of the best players at the club for the last 10 years. He's won 18 trophies combined, or a combined total of 18 trophies. That includes 6 Premier League titles, 1 UEFA Champions League title, 2 FA Cups. Never mind that Man City are still in this one, so he could go on to win a third. 2 Community Shields, 5 Carabao Cups, 1 FIFA Club World Cup trophy, and 1 UEFA Super Cup trophy as well there. So clearly, there's nothing, like he says in his letter to the Manchester City fans, there's nothing they've not won. The Daily Diary, how are you? I'm good. Hope you are good as well. Thank you for following. And then, while at the club over the last decade, he's featured in 413 games for Man City, scored 106 goals, and provided 174 assists. That's across all competitions. So, like I said, he's posted some of the best numbers a Premier League attacking midfielder has ever posted. I think if there are any players that will rival his numbers, like we did mention, is the likes of Ryan Giggs, the likes of Cesc Fabregas, the likes of Frank Lampard, the likes those players, high goal scoring midfielders, but players that also provide plenty of assists. Like I said, Ryan Giggs is the best all-time Premier League assist provider in the Premier League, as far as we can remember, with a tally of 162, and then KDB follows there. So clearly, that tells you the caliber of player that we are talking about, the kind of player that Man City have had in the last 10 years. We're talking about a player who, in his early years, was at Chelsea. Of course, at Chelsea, things did click. That was during Mourinho's second homecoming at Chelsea. Things did work out well. Then he went to Germany at BFB Wolfsburg. That's where he showed what he's really made of, and then enticed Man City to buy him for quite a reasonable fee. I think it was anywhere big, around 52 million pounds thereabout. And then he joined Manchester City, and he's done it all. When you watch a catalogue of some of his goals, oh my, you cannot fail to appreciate him. When you watch his assists, you cannot fail to appreciate his vision on the pitch. So he's been one of those, incredible players. As of today, or as of now, he is the only player that was left in the squad that Pep Guardiola inherited from Manuel Pellegrini when he joined the club. Kevin De Bruyne was the only player left in that squad. The other members of that squad were the likes of Yaya Toure, Pablo Zabaleta, Edin Dzeko, the likes of Sergio Kun Aguero, the likes of Willy Caballero, the goalkeeper, Joy Hart. You had Bakary Sagna in that squad. You had, I think, was James Milner still in that squad? Probably you had Guy Clichy in that squad. So those are the players that were at Man City at the time. You had Fabian Delph, who Pep Guardiola converted from playing in midfield, and I think played him at right back or something during a certain spell. You had a Fernandinho there in that component of players. So as of today, he was the only remaining player from those days, from the Manuel Pellegrini days. So clearly, he stood the test of time. He's passed every test that is brought to his forefront, and clearly, he deserves every praise that he is going to get. You do run out of superlatives when you get to talk Kevin De Bruyne, because I do think he's had arguably one of the best careers a midfielder has ever had in the Premier League there. So when you look at the Premier League alone, you know, he did score 118 goals. Sorry, he did score 100. Sorry, he did score 70 goals in the Premier League alone, and then 118 assists as far as the Premier League is concerned. The other numbers that I gave you earlier, those were across all competitions because where he did play 413 games and the assists 174, and then the goal tally is 106 there for Manchester City across all competitions. I think Arsenal fans will be happy to see him leave. He was causing them nightmares every time Manchester City met Arsenal, and he was in that side. So clearly, he's been really appreciated. For those of you that do follow, football or the Premier League as much as we do on X, you do know, for example, an account of under the names of Trey, UTD Trey, is a Manchester United fan. He says, rivalry aside, Kevin De Bruyne will go down as one of the best Premier League midfielders of all time. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, really. That's how much he's been appreciated as a player. Then, ESPN have come out to say, never forget when Kevin De Bruyne first, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Federico Valverde at the Santiago Bernabeu during Man City's treble season, that was in 2023, and walked out as player of the match. So, again, ESPN reminding you of how good a player the Belgian international was. Because in the 2023 season, that's when Man City win the UEFA Champions League, beating Inter Milan by 1-0 in the finals. They won the Premier League title. You all remember Arsenal sort of falling off the wagon in the last bend of the season, around the last 5 fixtures or so, when they shared the spoils with Southampton, I think in a 3-3 draw, then they drew, I think, with West Ham in a 2-2 draw, and that kind of thing. So they conceded the title to Man City. That was the season. And then, of course, they won the FA Cup to complete their treble that season. So clearly, lots of praises are coming through there for the Belgian international who is departing Manchester City at the end of the season. Do let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. What you make of Manchester, what you make of Kevin De Bruyne, of his career at Man City. Is he one of the Premier League greatest players that he's ever seen? If you are to make an all-time Premier League best 11, would Kevin De Bruyne feature in that starting 11? I think I really do think honestly that he would have a chance in that setup, in that midfield. You'd really want him there. Maybe a Paul Scholes in there, maybe a Kevin De Bruyne in there, maybe a Patrick Vieira in there, maybe a Roy Keane. I do not know who you would choose. Maybe a Frank Lampard along there. Plenty. Steven Gerrard. He never won the Premier League title, but his quality was never in question or in doubt. So, like I said, that team that Pep Guardiola inherited in the 2015-2016 season one, Leicester City went on to win the Premier League title. He was the last player in that squad that had the likes of David Silva in that squad. So that was the team that we were looking at. It had the likes of Wilfred Bony, by the way. It had the likes of Cliche Inacho, who moved on to, I think, Leicester City. Wilfred Bony, I think, had been signed from what? Was it Swansea? To come and join Manchester City at the time. So clearly, that's the kind of team we're talking about. We've been looking at some of the comments. Yes, some of the comments coming through from different accounts singing praise of Kevin De Bruyne, one of the greatest. Those are words of Pep Guardiola speaking about the news that Kevin De Bruyne will be leaving the club at the end of the season. He says his influence on our success in the last decade, that would be impossible to imagine without him. It's no doubt he is one of the greatest for sure. Those are words of Pep Guardiola singing praise of the Belgian international in Kevin De Bruyne. And then he's also remembered for the treble-winning season of Man City. He did buy all Man City players iPhones with a platinum, cover. Or they were platinum iPhones, basically. So again, he's one of those. He's been one of the favorites in the club's dressing room. Very much respected for his experience, for his brilliancy. Of course, at some stage handed the captain's armband for the club and everything and all. So clearly, he will be remembered as one of the greatest. Manchester City has been there. When I look back at some of the players that Man City will really appreciate, especially for their success in the last 15 years, you're looking at the likes of Yaya Toure, you're looking at the likes of David Silva, you're looking at the likes of Sergio Kun Aguero, and Kevin De Bruyne is within that very basket. If you're going to look at the top 5 for that last decade, of course, then the others, all the others will come in. The Ilkay Gundogan's, maybe Fernandinho will also make that component. Vincent Kompany, those kinds of players, but definitely in the top 5, Kevin De Bruyne must be in there for me, at least for those players that have had significant impact in regards to Man City's success in the last 15 years. Kevin De Bruyne, Sergio Kun Aguero, Yaya Toure, Vincent Kompany, David Silva, that core team for me. Anyways, that's all I had for you for now. Keep it locked on the channel. Do not forget the Premier League does return over the weekend with match day 31. Arsenal are into the early kickoff when they make the trip to Goodison Park to play Everton. That game comes at I think 2:30, about 2:30 p.m. East African time, if I'm not mistaken. I need to confirm the kickoff time. I think it should be around that. Yes, 2:30 East African time. That will be the kickoff. In the same weekend, we will have the Manchester Derby. So that's between Manchester United and Man City. We all remember Manchester United won the first leg, beating Man City by 2-1. Amadou Diallo scoring, I think, the winning goal after Bruno Fernandes had scored a penalty to get the equalizer for Manchester United. So all that action will be coming your way this weekend. So do not forget, keep it locked on the channel, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed for now. Do not forget to let me know what your thoughts are. If you're new, kindly do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.